Go. So we have our trinomial here, x squared plus 5x plus 4. We have two possible ways of constructing this 4. The 4 could be a 1 by 4 arrangement, which we have right here. Or it could be a 2 by 2 arrangement, which we have right here. So that's what we call our arrangements of our tiles. Today we're going to call these the product equals 4. And so we're going to look at the factors of 4. 1 by 4, 2 by 2. So when we're doing our diagram, what do we look at to decide on which arrangement? We looked at our x's. Here we had 1x and 4x, and over here we had 2x and 2x. So this arrangement gave us a total of 5x, whereas the bottom arrangement gave us a total of 4x. And so we would say, well, I want 5x. And so this would be the answer, x plus 4, and x times x plus 1. Whereas this would not be the answer. Okay? X plus 2 times x plus 2. And the reason why I knew this wasn't the answer is because we checked and saw that we got the wrong number of x's. We're going to try and do the same thing now, but we're going to do it without using tiles. Okay? So we're going to find factors of the product, and then we have to check each factor to see which one gives us a sum of plus 5. Well, this one gives us a sum of 5, whereas this one gives us a sum of 4. So we're looking at the sum and the product, and that's the type of factoring. So we often call this a sum product method. Some websites and textbooks and teachers might call it the AM method, which stands for add, multiply. Okay. So if you see that terminology, hopefully it rings a bell, and you realize they're one and the same. Okay. Basically what we're doing is we're factoring trinomials. There is a coefficient of 1 in front of the x squared. Okay. So let's go ahead and factor that. Product equals 24. So that's our 1 tiles. What are some different arrangements of the 1 tiles? 1 by, 2 by, 3 by, 4 by. So yesterday we would have to guess and check with 4 different drawings. Now we're going to check our sums. Our sum is plus 11. So this gives us a sum of 25, sum of, and sum of 10. And so which one do we want? Yeah, 11. So this is our answer. 3 by 8 is our tile arrangement. So that also means x plus 3 times x plus 8 is our answer. So after we get the product and the sum correct, then we have our answers. Okay. One thing to keep in mind, the x squared breaks down into x and x. Okay, that's the front. The 24 breaks down to 3 and 8. That's the back. Right? So when we multiply this out, we would get 8x plus 3x combines to give us 11x. So you can also expand it as well to check. Okay. So let's try this. Here our product is 9 and our sum equals -6. So what numbers multiply to 9? 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. So as I check my sum, here I get 10, here I get 6. I don't have any negatives. Oh man, what can I do? Change what? Okay, so if we change one of them to negative, now we get 0, and our answer for our product is -9. Change them both? Why? What would that do? Oh, so if you multiplied these guys together, yeah, you're going to get plus 9. And if you add them, you get negative 6. So you're going to have to guess and check on that part. You got to be a detective. Question, Herb, here? Oh, I just thought you did. You were paying attention. I knew that. You asked, what are you sitting back there for? Ooh, I'll see you after school and we'll talk about it. Can you please move back? Thanks. Yep. Okay. M minus 3 and M minus 3. So we have a different letter up front. What's the best way to write this now? M minus 3 squared, exponent 2. Please make sure you have that down, okay? We want to start recognizing that. Okay. So, for this next one, I want you to write down product is 12, sum equals 7. They're both positive. Go for it. See what you can. So, we have 1 by 12, 2 by 6, 3 by 4. The one that gives you 7 is 3 by 4. So we should have y is our letter. Please make sure you use a y. Y plus 3, y plus 4. How many people got that? Awesome. Okay, so now question number 4, we made it a little bit more harder because we have different letters. So please note, your M's come from the front. So we should have an M and an M. And I know that because I have a single N letter in the middle. And the N squared comes from the back, the last factor. And I know that because I have an N in the middle. We get the middle terms from multiplying these two together and these two together. So the middle term helps tell you where your letters should be. One in the front, one in the back. Okay, so that's part of the puzzle that you have to see. So then we can go and do our numbers just like we used to. Product equals 6, sum equals 5. Go for it. Okay, so we have here 1 by 6, 2 by 3, and the only way to get to 5 is both of these to be positive. So plus 2n plus 3n. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so try number 5 now. Product is plus 30, sum equals negative 13. Oh, negative 13, that's interesting. Go for it, do it. I'm stuck. I don't think I can do this question. Because when I add this together, I get positive 13. Oh, but I have to multiply to a plus 30. Does that work? Negative, negative. Oh, yeah. 2 negatives multiply to positive. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now I can get my negative sum. So you should get x minus 3, x minus 10. How many people wrote it this way? X minus 10 times x minus 3. How many people did it the method in blue? Anyone? Oh. Is the blue wrong? No. Not at all. Okay. Which in the brackets must be the same though. Okay. Okay, number 6 is going to get harder now. Any ideas why it's going to get harder? Well, there's a sum there. Plus 1. But what about the product? It's a 12 and it's negative. We haven't seen that yet. So for negative, what's the only way to multiply to a negative? Negative times a positive. Okay. And when you add things together, what does the positive sign tell us? It's a sign of the larger number. So we looked at that yesterday a little bit. If we want to end up with a +1, the biggest digit must be positive. So let's go backwards. 1 by 12, 2 by 6, 3 by 4. So if the larger number is positive, what will we make the smaller number? Negatives. Okay. So now you can check and see which combination works. Well, there's only one of them which are one digit apart. Okay. The -3 and the 4. Okay. So you've got to be a detective here and really figure out the puzzle. We have a minus 3 and a plus 4. Good. Any questions? You good, Jason? Okay. All right. Turn over. So, some more weirder ones. X exponent 4. Well, have a look in the middle. What's going to be at the front of each of these? X squared. Okay, because there's nothing at the back, we don't put any letters at the back. Okay, sum and product. Product is what? -99, and your sum, positive 30. Go for it. Think 3 and... Okay. So 3 and 33. Our sum is plus 30, so this must be the sign of the larger number. Okay, sign of the larger number. Go ahead, do 8 now. Give 8 a shot. Y minus 10, y plus 2. Well, if we have y minus 2 and y plus 10, then we're going to get y squared plus 8y. Right? So the sign of the larger number would then make that positive, so we can't. Okay? So we got to check and double check. Okay. So if I multiply this one out, if I said to expand, to do a check, then you would get y times y times 2, -10 times y, and -10 times 2. And you would combine them to give you -8y minus 20. And they're going to get you to do that in your textbook, right? They want to see that you can expand it and do a check. You should be doing these in your sleep, right? Without even blinking. Once by the end of the unit, you should be an expert on these. Okay. All right, looking at the next one. Looking at the letters first. We have x squareds, we have y squareds. The x squareds break down into the front, into an x. Now we know that because of the middle term. Right? The middle term has an x in it. What's the other half of the middle term? A y, and there's y squared at the back. So we know y goes at the back. Now, we look at your product, which is negative 36. Your sum equals negative 5. Go ahead, try it. And we want the 9 to be negative. So so x minus 9y, x plus 4y. Okay. Good. All right. Number 10. Something should be smacking you in the face right now, poking you in the eye. What's weird about number 10 that's different than all the rest? Sorry, Jasmine? Exactly. It's got a 5 at the front. Well, let's look at the other numbers. 15, 20. 5, 15, 20. Does that remind you of something? Factor, yeah, it can all be factored or reduced. GCF. GCF. So this now is a combination. Okay, so the first thing you always want to take out is a GCF. And you'll see these later in your work. Okay, you'll be close to the end. So what is your GCF here? 5. So don't lose the 5. Keep that. That's one of your factors. And then you have a squared plus 3a minus 4. Now, notice how I keep writing the 5? That's a factor. You have to have it there. Okay. So now you can do sum and product. Product is negative 4. The sum is plus 3. Go ahead. See if you can figure it out. What is it, Jason? Who? Just kidding. So we want a plus 3, so this must be a plus 4 and a minus 1. So a minus 1, a plus 4. Okay. So that must be exactly as it's written inside the brackets. The order can move, right, but not what's inside. Okay, number 11, what are you going to do first? Good, go for it. All right, there's a number in front again. So x squared plus 3y squared times x squared plus 2y squared. So now we have x squareds and y squareds because of it breaking apart. Pardon me? Why did I put a... Is that not the GCF? Right? Because if I didn't have it there, I wouldn't multiply it back up to what we started with. So I have to have my GCF there. Hamza? 6 and 1? Oh, 6 and minus 1? Sure, but that multiplies to negative 6. Oh, won't work, right? Because we have to have a plus 6. So it won't work. So you got to check that product, okay? Always check and double check with this stuff. Because like that seemed like a really good guess, but it wasn't. Okay, now we have 2 that are backwards. So 12 and 13 are written backwards. That's okay though. The product is still 6. The sum, ignore it. Let's just say it's 5. Okay. So what numbers multiply to 6 and add to 5? 2 and 3. So what's weird about this is the negative sign comes from the y's. So what we have here is we have negative y times negative y. That's how we're getting that negative sign in the middle. Okay, that's a little bit different though. We haven't seen that yet, right? And we just have 2 and 3 at the front. Okay, so sometimes that happens. And a negative y times a negative y equals a positive y squared. Okay, so we got to watch our signs. But 13 is different though. 13 doesn't have a plus m squared. What does it have? Minus m. So how in the world could you multiply to a minus m squared? One's positive and one's negative. Okay, that's the only way. So now we have to be super careful looking at the product of 24, and somehow we have to get a sum of 5. What numbers multiply 24? 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8. Oh, you guys are kind of interested in 3 and 8. Why? Because you could get to 5, but only if what? Negative 3. Well, here's the deal. 3 can't be negative, because otherwise 24 would be negative. So if 3 is here and 8 is there, let's just see what would happen when you multiplied it. You would go 8 times 3, yeah, that's 24. 8 times, negative 8m. And then you would get plus 3m when you did this multiplication. Which is okay, but there's a problem with it. What's the problem? What does that give you? Negative 5m. We don't want that, do we? So what do you think we should do? Switch something? What should we switch? All we got to do is we want to have our lower number become negative. So the 3 must go there. So when you're doing this, you're going to have to guess and check. We need the 3 to be negative. So the 3 must go at the front. Now when you do this, you get negative 3m and plus 8m. That will give you plus 5m. So these ones where they turn around, you got to be more detective and really double check by doing the multiplication. Okay. Any questions? Do you think you're going to see a lot of those? Yeah. No. You may see 3 this whole year, maybe 4. That's it. Okay. And that's from now to the end. So you're not going to see a ton of them, but you should be able to answer them. Okay, next ones. K-type questions. So what numbers we want to figure out our product when the sum equals 7? What numbers add to 7? 1 and 6. And what would they multiply to? 6. What else adds to 7? 2 and 5. What do they multiply to? Kind of working backwards here, right? 3 and 4 was mentioned. 12. Any others? Yeah, there's a ton. In fact, there's an infinite amount. Because what about negative 1 and 8? Negative 2 and negative 3 and negative 4 and what's the negative 4 and? 11. So we could go all the way until infinity. We go forever. You can still be doing this tomorrow. Hopefully not. Smart enough to stop. But you have tons of answers. In the textbook, just do about 3 or 4. Okay? So we're going to say k equals 6, 10, 12. Okay, and you could technically go ... And you probably do that in the textbook. Okay, next one. The product is negative 12. What numbers multiply to negative 12? And what do they add to? Okay, so negative 12 would be negative 1 times 12. What does that add to? 11. What's the next one we should do? No, 1 times negative 12. Well, you just switch your sign. What does that add to? Negative 11. Do it again. Negative 2 times what? 6. What does it add to? Negative 4. Positive 4. Okay. Then we go 2 times negative 6. What does that add to? Negative 4. Keep going, as many as you can do. Negative 3 times 4. Oh, hold your horses. Bring out the long way. Learn something. So this is going to be positive 1, negative 1. So, what's the shortcut? What does k equal? Plus or minus, what should we write first? Jason? Mr. Gung Ho? Want to put the largest digit first? Yeah. Plus or minus 1, comma, plus or minus 4, comma, plus or minus 11. How many answers? How many? 6. 6 possible answers. And you have to be careful, because sometimes they'll ask you what are the answers, and that's in the blue writing, and other times they'll say how many possible answers are there. How many means find them and then say 6 possible answers. So read the question. Any questions? Okay, if you have to go to the bathroom, you better run. Otherwise,